Today's sponsor is Audible.com, who has more than 180,000 audiobooks and spoken word audio products. Get a free audiobook of your choice at audibletrial.com/CA Telecast. This month, we're recommending The Disaster Artist, My Life Inside the Room, the greatest bad movie ever made, by Greg Sestero and Tom Bissell.
Greetings, travelers. My name is Nick Murphy.
And my name is Satchell Drakes. Sup?
And welcome to the Cinephilia Anonymous Telecast. We're going to take you on an interstellar adventure through the darkest corners of your mind to unlock your hidden passion for cinema.
Cinema. We're back.
How you doing, dude?
I'm doing very well. Chilling out on this fine evening. I had myself a Earl Grey cider just now. Our friends Paul and Jen visit over the weekend, and I had them have a little taste of it, and they enjoyed it too. Yes, it is an Earl Grey cider, and it's a cider that tastes like Earl Grey tea, and it's 6.7%, and it's wonderful.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's some real chill going on. So that's my life, and then designing stuff, making stuff look pretty. How about yourself? What's going on?
Nothing. Just working on secret projects. And, yeah. And, I saw Avengers today.
Ooh. So, okay. I didn't see any of the trailers. I was like, I'll probably think it's harmless. What's the deal? What is the verdict? It's great.
It's great, man. It's very good. I enjoyed it immensely.
How did they handle sort of letting everybody touch the rock, you know?
Yeah, dude, I thought that would be an issue. And I think that's everyone's kind of like question about it was like how there's, 24 characters. How are you going to give everybody ample screen time and have them be impactful? But they pulled it off, man. They do it. It's really interesting. Everybody has like some good scenes, and everybody has these meaningful moments. It's really funny. It's got a lot of heart. It's great. I loved it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Man.
I feel that.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good one. Did you like Thor Ragnarok?
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like that kind of like comedy kind of sense, and it's almost like another Guardians of the Galaxy where it's just like fun. Everybody has like some quips that they do. There's like some great moments, and people take the piss out of them by cracking a joke, and it's just fun. I just had a great time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That has persuaded me to give it. I was on the fence about waiting for VHS, but
yeah,
I'd be willing to go in and check that out.
No, it's definitely worth $15.
Who would you say like dominates the arc? Ooh, is that a spoiler question? People are too sensitive about spoilers. Like,
no. I think like
for example, the Avengers is kind of like the reckoning of Iron Man. Like,
Yeah, this has a lot of resolution of that. Tony's a big part of it. Thor has a lot to do in it, and it's surprisingly like the Thanos, the main villain. He's got there's some depth that they bring to his character, which is cool. He's not just kind of like big bad and impending doom. There's some heart and some story there, and yeah, man. I'm trying to think who like steals the show. It's so crazy because everybody steals whatever scene they're in. Like nobody kind of like disappears into the back there. Everyone just has like a moment, and you're like, oh, that's my favorite scene in the movie. And then it goes to the next scene, and that scene ends, and you're like, oh, that's my new favorite scene right there. Yeah, it's good shit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we should dive into our film for this episode, which is Moon.
Yeah, it's funny now. So when you had mentioned checking this out, now everyone in podcast land knows Nick recommended this. It wasn't until I actually did a little bit of research after watching it and sort of having my world torn apart that I'm looking at the movie poster and I'm like, oh, that film. Like, I've seen this everywhere. I've seen this art everywhere. I want this hanging in my room now. Like, that was easily the most claustrophobic experience I have ever had. Like, other than Buried, which I didn't even have a claustrophobic experience with, because there was something in between the tension of unknown and like getting this looming feeling of trappedness that just totally had my chest tight and just had me breathing like,
Yeah, it's very, for a movie set in space, you're definitely like gasping for air.
Yeah.
And some room to breathe. Definitely. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like another movie that felt like contained like this. Like Room felt that for me, but Room kind of takes you out of the room for a bit. Like Room, the Oscar winning Room.
Right.
Not the room. Not the room.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what too? I mean, shout out to the production designers. Because like the sets in there were incredible.
Oh, they were so beautiful. Like it was like for the time, what is that? 2009?
Yeah.
For 2009, that like melding of practical and CG was like very, very tasteful.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the exteriors and I feel like they were like miniatures almost, with like some effects kind of laid in there to add to it, because everything felt really small and far away, but purposeful. Yeah. It wasn't like I knew they were shooting miniatures. It's like I'm like watching it. I'm like, how did they get that shot? Like it just looks so good.
Yeah, there were so many photography moments in this. I was in a constant state of like grabbing screenshots. A lot of it just around like the tech that they used, and then also sort of like the planetary kind of shots that they had as well. Even the opener was very, very beautiful, where you sort of like see Earth from the perspective of Moon. I thought that was like, I thought that was a really cool choice.
Yeah, that was awesome. So here's some basic facts about this movie. It was directed by Duncan Jones, who is David Bowie's son.
Whoa! Didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, man. Okay. Isn't that interesting?
That is pretty interesting.
Yeah. He came up with the story, but it was written by another screenwriter. It stars Sam Rockwell, Kevin Spacey, and a few other people with considerably smaller roles than our boy Sam, who plays like 5 different characters.
Yes. Wait, 5? Well, yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I was trying to think of how to.
It was like this was essentially. It was a tasteful Nutty Professor.
I wrote a thing in here about multiplicity. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much that. I was trying to think of a way to explain, to pitch someone or sell someone on this movie without giving away everything.
No way. You got to just tell them to go in.
Yeah, it's about an astronaut who works on a space station on the moon, and it's about his life up there. But even that just makes it sound like, well, sometimes he rides upside down because there's no graphic, like shit like that. But you can't even like describe it without giving away too much.
No, you can't. You really just have to let it unfold. I was really happy going in blind, and I wouldn't want to take that from anybody.
Oh, awesome, man. What was your impression? So this is your first time watching it. What was kind of your impression? So going in, you had no idea.
Going in, I had no idea. When it started out, and I'm sort of seeing this man operating solo with a very conversational, clearly like futuristically intelligent robot that's like practically inserted into like the film, I'm thinking about Interstellar, right? Like,
yeah.
And I'm sort of seeing like, oh, they like gleaned this maybe from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're definitely seeing now things from current contemporary things like taking from this. Like there's a comedy show, as animated sci-fi comedy on TBS called Final Space, and it's funny. He has a robot friend, and he's like, "I'm here to make sure you don't go insane," and that's pretty much what Gertie is set up to do. Gertie being the robot,
yeah,
and to run the day-to-day operations of it.
Let's talk about Gertie, because I really loved his sort of place in everything. I really want to say it wasn't until like midway, like Act 2, that I realized, oh, that's Kevin Spacey. And that's like the perfect voice for a robot, in my opinion. Just that whole, he captures that sort of deadpan timbre that actually had me very suspicious about how he would play into the plot. At first I thought like, he was going to operate in this sort of malicious secrecy, and like be like, I cannot do that,
right? Like Hal, or even like a Otto from WALL-E, like the ship automation thing that turns bad guy kind of thing. But yeah, it's got to be hard as an actor to play that straight and not put emotions and put inflections on things and really just give like a very neutral read.
I loved the killer design because, as a sort of like human interface designer, the idea of having this kind of deadpan robot like make this individual like up in space, isolated, like we're social animals, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the decisions that have to be made in like the design of this robot to like keep someone from going insane. Right. Like for one, the idea of obviously it's very smart and it's very complex because of the conversational language that it has. But also the LCD on the front that showed the faces. Yeah. For one, it 100% played into the best kind of like comic relief. Right. That you needed. Exactly. But also, especially now in sort of like the age of like where we pair emojis with everything, like it was really cool to see all the different things that they had, but also just that necessity of needing that context when commands are given and things like that, I thought was a great way of, adding to the humanity of a character that's not human.
Yeah, totally. It definitely gave like a personification to this, inanimate object, for lack of a better term for it. Yeah. And yeah, the emoji, like I'm calling them emojis now.
Yeah, because, they are. Yeah.
That's what we call them now. But like, like when I remember when I first saw this, I remember being like, wow, that's really cool. It gives him a character, especially when he's like using the thinking emojis, like, yeah. And he'll like answer happy and it's funny because in the read, I think if you just heard the audio, it wouldn't
read as happy. That. Yeah. At all.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good directorial choice. Like, it's like you need that so he does, like you were saying, so he doesn't come off as menacing all the time.
Right. And then also like it was amazing to see the conspiring that was going on. And and meaning the conspiring with, what's the name of who Sam Rockwell plays?
Sam.
It's still Sam. Yeah, too. Sam Bell. Yeah. That's right.
Yep.
Like him conspiring with Sam Bell and revealing information to Sam Bell in the audience, and even kind of planning in the end, like, hey, like I've recorded all of the stuff that you've done that you shouldn't be doing. Like, why don't you just erase it? Yeah. And I'll restart. Like, that was such an unexpected turn.
Yes.
Especially given how guarded he was in the beginning when, his direct orders were to keep Sam inside.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's you get the sense that this AI, this robot cares for Sam, but really it's probably just a line of code that's just,
I think it's designed to give a damn about
keep Sam Bell safe.
Yeah.
And everything is like, that's like almost like its prime directive. and it will do anything to do that. And at first it's keep him safe by not giving him information. And then it's like, okay, he knows a ton of information. Now we need to keep him safe. And even when there's two Sam Bells that start to contradict each other, which one wins out? And ultimately it's like this greater good kind of thing wins out for this AI. It's really interesting.
I love that they never explicitly address. There's never, and this added to sort of the ominous vibe that sucked me in and also kept me very anxious. Both Sams never directly addressed the fact that they're clones to each other with like surprise or anything like it almost felt like the sort of, you can't really call him an original Sam knowing what we know, but the more original Sam, the previous Sam,
the first one, the first one,
like the first one we're introduced to, it's almost like he just knew and like didn't really, he was waiting for him to find it. He's like, oh, you finally figured that out. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Like it seems like the new Sam that came along, like had more info than the dying Sam.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. And it's an interesting thing. Like, I mean, Sam Rockwell's performance alone is incredible in this.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole movie comes off as if it were a play. You know, it's minimal characters, minimal sets, minimal sequences, just all dialogue, and each one is trying to like dominate the other and trying to win out information. And it really is just like this verbal sparring match that they keep going back and forth with. I was just like captivated by him. It made me like fall in love with him like all over again. I was like, oh my God, I love Sam Rockwell.
That's totally fair. I was captivated by I guess, playing with someone's sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like finding out that, you know, the thing that he's been waiting 3 years for isn't even his.
Right.
Is kind of like, it's really eerie, you know? And it was also interesting to see that upon both of them realizing that, there was no interest in tearing each other apart.
Yeah, like that's my wife, or I think they all just realized that they were of the same construct, but not the I think, yeah, like they knew right from like the get-go. Almost like they have a little conversation about who's the real one. And they go back and forth like, I'm the real one.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't, I think once they accepted that, they weren't just like, well, I'm going to go home and marry her. It was, you know what I mean? It was just like, I'm going to go home and be free.
Yeah.
Was like more of the underlying drive there.
That makes me wonder in the story, like, was there, considering that there was a Sam on Earth fathering his child, like, was that the first Sam, or did they create a version of Sam that decided to volunteer for this effort? Right.
So I think what happened, so I have this tendency to watch some movies with the closed caption on. Yeah. Just because I find it easier, especially if
I had to turn it on for a while.
Yeah. And sometimes it just makes me interpret their dialogue, and it makes me pay attention, so I'm not like distracted, which is really nice. But in the closed captions, it says when you hear him when he's making that call to his daughter, it says "Original Sam." On there. So I don't know if that's just like closed captioning interpreting that, or if that was in the script and it's kind of like leaked out from that.
Yeah.
I don't know which is like true versus like an accident that's causing new hypothesis. So if we're taking like that as the original Sam and he continued to live his life, like did he give his DNA up to make this program possible? Right. You know? Right.
Yeah. I love that they don't explain the Flash.
What Flash? What do you mean?
When he goes through the tapes and he finds like 3 or 4 instances of him climbing inside of that white coffin.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They say, hey, this is your pod. It's going to send you home. And then there's a flash.
Yeah.
Like,
I just assumed
I don't know. I assumed like insta-death ray. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think doesn't he like touch like a spout and there's just like dust? That's what I got from it. I don't know if that was supposed to be like dust as if it's been here a long time, or dust like ash.
Yeah.
From like all the zapping. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they never are like,
I do.
This is the death ray, and this does this. And
right.
This does this.
You do assume. Like for me, I assumed I was like, oh, well, I know that's not a pod.
Right.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like
when I love that he keeps getting these weird glitches of the other Sams. Initially like he sees them like deteriorating and sees them older. Like I like that idea that they have this kind of lifespan.
Right. That they're like in human ingenuity, in the history of human ingenuity, like, okay, we can make clones, but they last like 3 years.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's like a planned obsolescence or if this is the best we can do. And after 3 years, they just like a Blade Runner thing where they just fall apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting.
That was really interesting.
So kind of like building on that lore, Duncan Jones made a new movie for Netflix called Mute. And in there's a little cameo from Sam Rockwell. One of the main characters of the show of the film is looking at this TV screen, and there's a trial being broadcast, and it's the trial of Sam Bell versus Sam Bell.
Oh shit!
So they're in the clip, they're like arguing. Like, well, it's like, oh, Mr. Bell, do you want to stand? And it's the same kind of thing they were doing on the thing. It's like, well, I'm Sam Bell. Well, I'm Sam Bell. And there's like 3 or 4 other ones. So I wonder if like the original is on trial and one of the clones made it back and now it got out and they're exposing this. It was a cool little like world building thing where it's like, oh, wow, this is all part of like the shared universe.
Whoa. Wait, is Mute at all related to Moon or?
Other than it takes place in the future and that clip.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what, too? In Mute, there's a couple posters that say like "Free Sam Bell." Like,
oh shoot!
Kind of
I want to check that out. I'm going to try to find that on YouTube.
It's cool. Mute is pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. I feel like it kind of like meandered a little bit, but there was a lot that I liked about it. So I think I want to give it a second viewing and really kind of like get a definite sense of whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're watching something for the first time, you're kind of just trying to take it all in, and you wind up like missing some key things. So I want to like revisit that and see how it holds up on a second viewing.
That's totally fair. I can't wait to look that up. I'm so like sucked into this universe, and so I would love to talk about the ending. Like
yeah, let's
like
do it, yeah.
There was this part of me that almost like was like, ooh, like pick one way, like either he ships off into Earth and you cut off there, or like show me what happens when he lands, because when they play those clips of him like sort of exposing like, oh, they have like these news clips. Actually, I was talking with somebody just now about this, and they were saying that when they saw it in the theaters, they don't remember that playing. I don't know if you can fact check that or not, but
oh yeah, I don't know.
At least watching it on Netflix, the way that it worked is when his pod is shipping out to Earth, they start playing these audio clips from like the news. It's like this little collage that's sort of like, Sam Bell's clone exposes whatever. And, people saying, oh, well, that's BS. Like, we don't believe it. And all the debates around it. And it makes me think like, whoa, like, can he just get away with that? Like, I have to imagine like providing helium-3 for power for the entire planet is like a government level situation. Like, what? I want to know more about this universe now, like, yeah,
it's really cool because it really builds up a whole, it's kind of cool to have a movie set in like, for more or less one room, have this global impact. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
That probably I think that could have easily been explored, and I would love to see that impact on it.
Yeah, even just knowing how many other people are harvesting helium-3.
Well, like, that's what I was wondering too. Like, are there multiple stations, or is it just this one station?
It can't be just one for like the whole world. Like, it makes me wonder maybe there's like a bunch all over, and it's all just like regenerating clones of real people working all the time.
You know what? I remember like one wide shot of the full moon, like the entire surface. Like I remember there being like a couple like checkerboard pattern like spots. Like, you know, when you're like flying over farmland, you see all those like checkerboard kind of things. I definitely remember a shot like that. So it makes me wonder if like pausing that, like you could identify that, or if it's just like, okay, well now we're going to this, we're going to go mine sector 5 and now we're going to go mine sector 7, or if it's just like one station doing multiple things. I don't know.
Yeah. It also makes me think about it gives me this District 9 effect of like, hey, like here's how the future and modern darkness collide, where it's like, oh yeah, if we mastered clone technology, I mean, yeah, we would just put people to work.
Right.
We would just make people
slaves. Yeah. We would make people to work for free, basically. Yeah. That's what got me wondering. I've been watching Westworld a lot recently. So like when we get to the point of clones or like AI that have bodies and look like us and think like us, like at what point do they get the same like rights as us, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Do we get to it? Did you ever see Bicentennial Man?
A long time ago.
Yeah. It's like Robin Williams is a robot, and I remember the end of the movie, he's like fighting for his right to marry this woman that he fell in love with. And they won't recognize him as a human, so they won't grant him the right to marry, basically.
Right.
So like when I see stuff like this, it makes me want to extrapolate and wonder, like, at what point does something artificial that we grow
the moment create, okay Google becomes self-aware, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Essentially, self-awareness is where there's a problem, because we do not have a decorated track record for any self-aware artificial intelligence to want to serve or protect us.
Mm-hmm.
At all. Like, it's literally an iRobot situation.
Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of like this movie, like I feel like if you're cloning a person, that they would have like the same rights as a person. They would.
You mean legislatively? You think we'd get there?
That's what I'm wondering. Like,
we wouldn't. Humanity, we wouldn't.
You think it'd be like?
I think it'd be pretty like aware.
Religious conflict.
Say what?
You think it'd be like a religious conflict? We would that wouldn't happen. That it would be like.
I think liberals and conservatives would be unanimous on not allowing robots to be able to do like to not be recognized as like
as voters.
As voters, as things that require rights. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's interesting, man. That's what I love about science fiction. It really makes you question the world you live in. It's such a cool medium to tell a present allegory. You know?
Yeah.
Those are like my favorite kind of sci-fi shows that just
like that Outer Limits vibe.
Yeah, totally, man. Like the Black Mirror kind of thing where you're like, oh yeah, this is great. Technology is great, but we need to check ourselves.
Yeah.
And be better people first.
And given the headlines lately, we're definitely not.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, it's on us, man. I mean, we don't read the end user license agreement ever, and that's literally that's where they get us every time.
Right.
Like, I don't think we're going to see a renaissance with that. You know.
You don't think there'll be some kind of like a simplification of it? Like, think about like the Creative Commons kind of thing. There's been this online simplification of the breakdown of like rights usage, you know? It's
true. The skeptical part of me is like, there's too much money to be made. And as long as there are lawyers, there's fine print. Like, right. So there's always going to be that space, because Creative Commons can choose to do that, but nobody can police that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a thank goodness we have this kind of situation.
Right.
But that's not to say, I mean, maybe like, you know, Zuckerberg falling under fire of Congress is this weird situation where on one end, there were a lot of very compelling arguments that did expose how terrible his end user license agreement is. But at the same time, there were also a lot of representatives who were sort of like, the whole thing was essentially a joke where they're just like, oh yeah, like Facebook, like, yeah, my daughter taught me how to use this. Like, they still don't take it seriously. They still don't see
what it is. They don't understand it.
Yeah, exactly. They don't understand it. And it's like
Warren Hatch being like, so how do you make money? You know?
Right, exactly. And yeah, where Mark has to be like, well, Senator, we make it running ads. Yeah. Like, you know, so.
Or like Lindsey Graham asking about, is Twitter a competitor to you? Like,
right. All of these things. Yeah. There's such a mixed literacy. And it's like, okay, so it seems like we have to wait until they all die for us to actually get proper accountability. Like, we have to wait till people our age are in their seats.
Right.
In order for Mark to be under proper accountability. But at that point, Mark has lifelong data on all of those people.
Right.
And what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it makes you think about all the things that you're putting out there. And I mean, like, just your location in general. Like, people, they're tracking your location, your habits, your things that make you happy, sad. It's a lot of scary stuff if you can like extrapolate that data.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely
a lot. Oh man. But I mean, this movie is pure example that a big corporation wouldn't do something shitty given the opportunity. I mean, you see it in there, like when Gertie's on that conference call and they're just like telling Gertie to keep him in the dark until.
I need to go back and listen to that line. I need to go back. Yeah,
they're basically telling him to keep him on the ship until this cleanup crew comes in and just will kill both of them and just restart the process all over again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now that really does make me wonder about Gertie's, like, not self-awareness, but his, I guess, just his intellect, because he's clearly witnessed like new replacements before, and he's clearly facilitated that process.
We don't know what number we're on right now.
Yeah, and that makes me wonder, ooh, actually, what's the significance of the faces? You saw that it pops up in the film a couple times where he draws faces on this metal wall.
Oh yeah,
the smileys.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering if that was just a.
I just want to make sure that wasn't him keeping count. I didn't. I
didn't know if it was a timekeeping thing or like a mood tracking thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Just wondering. I just thought I would throw that out there. But
no, that's interesting.
But yeah, it is interesting that Gertie, like, he clearly knows what the situation is, but decides for whatever reason to reveal the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. Still cool.
Yeah, totally, man. One thing I really liked was Duncan Jones's like directing choices. Just like giving each Sam like an identifying thing so that the audience could keep track of them. You know, you've like sick old Sam who has like a burn on his hand and is slowly falling apart, and then like new Sam is like cocky, you know, and has like, he's wearing like those sunglasses sometimes. Whereas like old Sam is kind of like a little more zen, a little more like controlled. He's not like hot tempered. And it's cool because it made me wonder from a story aspect, is that just like variations in the cloning process, or is that like they all start out cocky and then by the end of 3 years they're kind of like broken down and and just fine with the situation, you
know? That's interesting. Yeah, almost if there's like a freshness. I did notice, like, one Sam is like literally glowing and the other Sam is like pale and dying. And
right.
So there definitely is like some intentional, clear communication of a fresher Sam and one that's seen some stuff.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's a thing. It's an audience identifying the tracking thing, but then I think there could be story elements that you could glean from that too. It seems really it's an interesting choice, and I think it's one of those things that's like, oh, well, that works on a lot of levels. That's really, really smart. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love it. And then there's one other thing
I want this poster in my room. Gosh.
The black one with
actually maybe I can find a vinyl of the soundtrack. The soundtrack was
the soundtrack's good. It's Clint Mansell. He did The Fountain and a whole bunch of other stuff. It was cool. It definitely had like a theme that you could hear, which was cool.
Yeah.
He did like Requiem for a Dream and stuff. Yeah, he's good. Which poster that? The one of like the circles.
Yeah. Yeah, the circles coming out. It's really cool.
It's so good. I really liked the setting of the station. It was cool because it seemed it was an inverse to other space station movies like Gravity or Apollo 13, where everything looks white and crisp and clean and sterile. This looked like dirty and grungy, and then by the time there was like another Sam and when you understand what's happening, I was like, oh man, that's why it looks so lived in, because he's not just doing his 3-year stint here. He's been here.
Right.
Some version of him has been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a really, really cool, really interesting like note that I maybe like really appreciate the set design and the, and like the props and everything was really interesting.
No, that is totally true. Like in my apartment, I have like a bunch of like white, like furniture and stuff. And it's an interesting choice, you know, when you don't actually have it, but it's a lot of fucking upkeep, man. Dust picks up.
Oh yeah, man.
You know,
dude, even like me, man, I love, like black as like a color. It's one of my favorite colors.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, everything just pops up on dust. Like I'm looking at, my desk. I was like, oh my God, so much dust here.
Yeah.
Just upkeep in general is tough.
Oh, of course. In that way, it was really cool to sort of make the place look like a relic. And then there are like Post-its and all other sorts of stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Gertie has that mug sitting there all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like an Apple ad. Like it's very much like.
Yeah, it's got that Star Wars lived in future kind of feel. So here was a thought that I had when I was getting ready to rewatch this. I was interested to see what my reaction would be like to watching like a Kevin Spacey movie post all that stuff that happened with him. Like we obviously haven't seen him in anything since all that stuff came out. So I was wondering if I could like separate that, if we get into like a artist versus the person.
Oh, yes.
Kind of thing.
Death of the author.
Yeah. And I was wondering if that would be like an issue for me. And I didn't really think about it until like afterwards. It was like, oh yeah, that was kind of bad, but it didn't register for me. And maybe that was just like, because it was just his voice and not seeing him on screen. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think, it all kind of happened in a second where the voice was just really good. And then I was like, oh, that's Kevin Spacey. And then I was like, oh yeah, he's problematic. And then it's just,
yeah,
I don't know. And then I just moved on. And like, I kind of just got
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I was so sucked in.
It was like, that kind of sucks, but this was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the, every individual has to gauge like how much that's going to impact like
you,
what they take in, especially considering it was before, like,
yeah, exactly.
But I think a lot of it, if you were on screen, I think we would be having a bigger conversation.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
The mere fact that it was his voice and a very robotic one at that.
Yeah. A very like chill, no personality kind of one. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even really think about it.
Yeah, because I was thinking like House of Cards is coming back at some point. I'm like, I didn't watch the last season. I'm wondering if I should try to like see it out. See how I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole thing yet.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah, but yeah, this movie was good. It was cool. It was cool when this movie came out because here was a guy making a really interesting science fiction movie when a lot of people were just making big dumb science fiction movies.
What came out at that year?
Like, I feel like that's when like the Transformer movies started coming out.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like 2007. So yeah, it's kind of around.
You definitely get like this is cerebral. I'm on board.
Yeah. It definitely feels like, oh, you know what? We had Cloverfield in the same time too. That's cool.
Ooh, I loved Cloverfield a lot.
Oh, me too. Yeah. So good.
We should watch that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I literally haven't seen that since the theater. That would be really interesting to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, when that movie came out, they did all this like ARG stuff, like leading up to it, and
boy,
like,
what's that? What's ARG?
Alternate additional reality or alternate reality? ARG. I think it's additional. It's like when it's like a marketing thing where alternate reality. So you would set up a website based on this, and if you did something
yes,
on the website,
they did. That's
like,
right.
Like
yeah,
gamey type stuff. It was really, really cool, and they did a whole bunch for Cloverfield because Cloverfield came out. Nobody knew anything about it except here's a trailer for a movie. It was like blop. Here you go.
Yeah,
it was so interesting. Oh man, now I really want to do that. Maybe we could do like this in Cloverfield Paradox. Oh, no, there's 10 Cloverfield Lane, too. Oh, my God.
Have you seen Cloverfield Paradox?
Are we going to do a 3-part episode?
I mean, we could.
A 3-in-1 episode?
We could. All those films are very different. And, like, there's like, stuff there.
I'm down for that. Let's do that.
All right, let's do that. Yeah. We can start with Cloverfield.
That's a big homework assignment.
Right?
Well, cool. I'm glad you enjoyed Moon. Overall, like, you would recommend this to someone? You would recommend this to?
I would. I definitely want to watch it again. I would.
Yeah. It was good to rewatch it, a few years later because I had forgotten some stuff. Even Rebecca was like, wait, that's with Sam Rockwell and he's like by himself. And I was like, yeah, kind. Yeah, man. It's really cool. It's cool, good sci-fi on like a low budget, but really smart, really, really well done.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So next time we'll watch some Cloverfield.
Yes, very interested in watching my city get torn apart.
Yeah, dude, that's gotta be a weird experience for you sometimes. Where you're like, ooh, oh no, I know that spot.
I always think about on the subway. I always think about when people got trapped in, like with all the rats and stuff, and they had to like walk underground and.
Oh yeah, oh my god, yeah, and they have to like walk through the subway, from platform to platform. Oh my god,
yeah, so crazy,
that'd be terrible. That's like when I went to LA. Every time I go to LA, I'm like, I feel like I've been here before, but it's really because this was in this movie and this part was in this movie.
Right.
And then this was in Grand Theft Auto.
And this is the donut place from the Californication music video.
Yeah, and this is where Iron Man is sitting on the donut. Rebecca and I went there. It's good donuts, man.
Is it? I'm so curious.
Yeah, good donuts, man.
Into it.
Well, good stuff. Well, we'll catch you guys next time. Where can people find you, Satchel? I realize we never do like plugs for ourselves
handles. You can find me on Twitter, Satchell Drakes. That's with 2 L's. So Satchel like a bag with 2 L's and then Drakes, Drakes. And on Instagram, it's also Satchel Drakes, but there's a period between Satchel and Drakes.
Gotta get that SEO working better, man.
I know it's
dude.
It's
you
hard.
have no problem. You have no. There are not many Satchel Drakes out there, man.
Very true.
You're good.
I wish I had consistent though. You know, I think I'm the one that took Satchel Drakes. I think like I like took it and lost the account, and Instagram can't help me, and whatever. Anyway,
gone forever.
Yeah. You're Hey Nick Murphy everywhere, right?
Yes. If you want to follow me, it's Hey Nick Murphy. Everywhere.
That's so easy. See, look at that. Jealous.
Hey man, you were saying you were doing another podcast, man. You want to give a little pluggy plug for your other podcasts?
Wait, I am? Oh yeah. So I do another podcast. It's Forbes Overworld. We talk about video games at the intersection of like culture and art and psychology and the sciences. And it's a lot of fun and sometimes really weird and sometimes really interesting. And you always come away learning more. So yeah, that's Forbes Overworld. And I do that with, Matt Strummer dude from YouTube. Yeah.
He's a good dude.
He's great.
Yeah, you guys do a good job. I listened to a couple. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I also have a podcast that I do with my friends. It's called Pretend Friends. It's a tabletop type RPG D&D, but we're doing sci-fi and maybe we'll do some fantasy at some point, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of goofy fun. But I like this podcast the best. Don't tell nobody.
This is my favorite. Yeah.
All right, man. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. We will see you guys next term.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Cinephilia Anonymous Telecast is produced by Satchell Drakes and Nick Murphy. Music by Mark Junker. You can hear more of his music at junker.ca. That's junker.ca. You can follow the Telecast on Twitter at CA Telecast, subscribe on YouTube at CA Telecast, subscribe on iTunes, and check out our website, catelecast.com.
I wonder, do I have a snack to eat? I got ice cream.
You there?
Yeah.